What is probably the most requested character in the history of this game is finally here, Tifa Lockheart from Final Fantasy VII. She's an assassin with a bunch of different moves we're going to go over in just a moment here, but first I want to mention that all of this is coming out on the 3rd next month. So yeah, just in a week we're getting all of the content in this video that I'm going to be describing to you, my dear viewer. We'll start with the balance changes first, there's very few of them, then we'll move on to the DLC that'll be coming our way, and then finally ending it with Tifa, Best Girl Tifa. Okay, and speaking of Final Fantasy VII, we'll go to Cloud! The tracking on the second hit of Cross Slash was weakened for Cloud, and that's its only change. Yeah, there's not a lot of changes here. Next are both Garland and Ultimecia, who got the exact same change. The duration of their self-buff was increased to 30 seconds, while the point decay of these abilities was changed to 3/4 of what it currently is. To quickly explain this change, when you land hits with these characters, you're given points towards your self-buff, invisible points you can't see. Get enough points and you'll reach Tier 1 or Tier 2 of that self-buff. These points decay over time, so let's say it costs 3 points to get to level 1. You land your first hit, you land your second hit, you don't land your third hit, 30 seconds go by, you land your third hit. You're not getting to level 1, you're starting back at level 0 because you lost all your points for taking so long to actually get those 3 points to reach your first level. So this buff gives you more leeway in how long it takes for you to collect your points to actually get to your next level of your self buff. And just to make sure you guys know, I'm talking about Deranged Soul for Garland and Maleficum for Ultimecia. Those are the name of their self-buffs that increase their damage. Finally onto Ramza, which it actually showed some development footage for as well. For his neutral bravery, the first slice has had its hit stun changed, and the second slice moves you forward more. Specifically in the shout version now, holding the button will hold them in place and do 2 extra attacks, just like Camelot's. So now you can hold them a little better if you're trying to be supportive with your Ramza gameplay. Currently with Ramza and his neutral bravery, if you do both inputs, he'll do the entire thing. If you whiff the first hit, unlike the rest of the cast in the game where they must land the first hit to get to the next part of their combo. Coming this update, Ramza's neutral bravery when he's in shout mode will have him repeat the first hit over and over until he lands it, and then he'll do the second hit. Just like many of the other assassins in the game. Ramza's Endeavor rate has also been changed. It will not do the second hits unless the first one lands. Those are all the balance changes, and now we move on to the DLC content of this update. Unlike previous months, we're only getting 2 costumes for 1 character this month, Zenos. Not only that, but one of them will be free temporarily. And not only that, but we'll also be getting a costume with a voice filter on. No other costume has this feature that changes the voice at all, meaning this is the first costume in the game to actually have an effect on you other than changing your character's model. This first costume here is him without his armor on. Well, some of his armor on, actually, I should say. Like, his chest plate is still there and so are his sabatons, but most of it is missing, and he replaces it with a coat. Also, his gun barrel thing is now white. And silverish, I guess? White, silver, red. It's a completely new design. And his temporarily free costume will be this EX costume, which will go on sale after a couple of days. From the 3rd of July to the 7th of August, this campaign will run where you'll be able to download his costume for free. So even if you haven't played the game in a while, and even if you don't have Zenos, you might as well grab the costume DLC while it's still available for free. Here's a small clip of him talking with the filter on from the trailer. The reason why he's free is because of having a special Shadowbringers campaign for Dissidia NT and Dissidia Arcade. Reach the results screen in any mode except for the event lobby mode, and you'll receive a free primal song from Final Fantasy XIV. So for example here, if I was playing after June 3rd, I would get a primal song. And this campaign is limited too, so it's not forever. You just need 19 matches completed to collect them all. Winning or losing doesn't matter. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, Zenos' DLC weapons will be coming now. His 2nd and 3rd katanas will be added to his starter pack for free, while his 4th weapon will be added as paid DLC separately. And now that we covered all the salad dressing of this video, let's take a bite out of that sandwich and get to the meat and potatoes. Tifa Lockheart. She's an assassin with the same gimmick as Garland and Ultimecia. Land more hits, the stronger you get. Instead of increasing her attack, it gives her access to her dash attacks. Fever Time 1 and Fever Time 2, which of course should be identifiable by anybody who played Final Fantasy VII or Dissidia Duodecim. It's those slots again, and this time they're in 60 FPS so you can actually land the yas. The slots boost your team's attack, defense, and movement speed. The better result you give, the more power your team will get from your buff. To wrap up this video, let's move into her moveset analysis. Her air and ground neutrals are pretty much the same as everybody else, except her ground neutral does 5 hits instead of just 3, but it's more of a technical thing with animation, rather than actually being something important. Her air neutral is just 3 hits though. Heading back to her ground moveset, let's talk about her forward bravery attack. It seems to be a pretty standard forward charging attack like Vayne or Noctis. But dude, look at that fat ass projectile it kicks out! Yo, that's so huge for a marksman! Oh, I even mixed up with the marksman, I meant to say assassin. That proves my point even more. What a dangerous forward brave if it has poise, bro. Anyways, now to the backwards brave. You know how Locke's dash attack has him scoot forward a little bit before he actually does that upward attack? This is the same thing, except it's one input. Now to her forward and backwards aerial braves. They're the exact same thing. One tilts her up slightly upward, one tilts her down slightly downward. They're good for positioning the enemies where you want to go, I suppose, or moving yourself into the correct position. Now into her dash attacks. Unlocked at Fever 1 are her blizzard magics. The ground one is a single hit projectile. I mean, okay, I guess. And the air one is a multi-hit, short-range projectile. What's special about this one is that if you're close enough, you can actually combo out of it. It pops them up and leaves them the hit stun long enough for you to actually do a combo. In fact, this is done in the Tifa trailer right here. Pops Sephiroth up with a blizzard magic, then chains it into the dashing backwards aerial brave attack, before chaining it into the upwards aerial brave attack. Yeah, in Fever level 2 you unlock melee attacks for your dash attack. Her forward bravery dash attack is the same in the air and on the ground. She does a little like upwards kick and then kicks you backwards back where she was coming from. Weird to describe with my mouth, but the visuals do it justice. Her backwards dashing brave on the ground is exactly the same as Camelot's dashing brave on the ground. And finally, for her last bravery attack is this weird little kick. This is her backwards dashing aerial bravery, and it can be chained in either her neutral, forward, or backward aerial braveries without dash. To finish up this video, we have our HP attacks to go over. Starting with Dolphin Blow, which has an actual literal dolphin now. I mean, it just looks like Rough Divide, except Tifa's punching out a dolphin instead of Squall's laser beam from his gunblade. Next is this really short range kick, which leads into another kick to a dunk. Yeah, that's a dunk like Braver or Triumphant Grasp. Her third HP is this like little projectile attack that I don't have any good footage of. This will have to do. That's what the enemy Tifa is doing. She's shooting out a little fire projectile thing. She seems to do like a little backwards dodge before she shoots out the projectile too. I don't know what that's all about. And lastly, she has a very short range but quick melee attack like Kuja, Lightning, but if you mash the button, you get to do JoJo. What do I mean by that? Well, finiamo questo video con il vento d'oro.
としてれば見もしないって言ったくせに自分を知れそんな美味しい話があると思うのかお前のような人間になんてひどい野郎